What is up, guys? It's Verns back again with another Supercoach video. Look, this is going to be the AFL season wrap. Look, I did skip last week again. So I'm sorry about that, but motivation to do these videos is in the toilet with just how poor the season went. As we can see, we had a drop here of like 331 places to end the year. Last week, I think we went up like 3K, so we had an okay week. But yeah, a bunch of donuts at the end of the year. Just an absolute mess of a season to finish. And it is what it is, sort of thing. I'm not too disappointed. I'm pretty hyped for the NBL season that's about to hit, so if you haven't already, go ahead and sign up for that. I'll do another video on that soon and put out another league code for that. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And it's just something good to do in the off season. I think it's just a very nice balance that, AFL ends, NBL starts, NBL ends, AFL starts. It just means that you get Supercoach all year long, and I understand some people probably want to break in a bit of a, I guess, detox from the game, but me personally, I'm a bit of a fanatic. I can't help myself. Like, I see another game mode and I'm like, get me in on that. So, and basketball just happens to be one of the games I enjoy most, so just perfect. Love it. But yes, looking at the AFL season, let's jump into it. Terrible into the season. This is how the team sized up at the end of the day. Last round, like, obviously had Houston. Used him as a loop, so we got the Dacos VC. That's the best VC I've had all year. I don't think I've had a VC over 138, maybe the highest from Tim English in like round 2. So that was pretty rough. But yes, I mean Dacos, at least I got that right. Backline, yeah, it was a solid end to the year. Obviously Houston not there. Gets a donut, that is what it is. Jump into the midfield. We had a few underperform in the form of Green, LDU, Steel, bit unders, but the rest of them pretty good. I mean, good from Anderson, good from Dunkley. Bolton was fair enough, Butters was fine, and Dawson was fine too. So good midfield, and then the ruck line, it is pretty average all year. I really didn't nail rucks at all, and that probably hurt all season long. We did a Flanders with a good one. That was awesome. Pink came out with a good game to at least cover one of my donuts in the forward line. So ended up with 2 donuts and a 49 from Pink as to why my score was so poor, even though we had some actual decent scores on field. I guess the positive is how good was footy to end the week. I mean, the last 2 weeks, I feel like footy was just really good. I mean, obviously, I'm always happy when Pies get up. I mean, look, it is what it is. It didn't really matter at the end of the day. I think, well, we finished 9th, which is, it is what it is. But, I mean, that was just a bit of fun to get the final win. Hawks and Geelong run over these games. Gold Coast, Richmond, like, fun there, I guess. Essendon was slightly competitive for a bit in this game, a bit. And Sydney was also a blowout. So, you know what? Like, I don't know, like, it was entertaining just in the sense that they were shootouts. You just saw teams getting big scores, big goals, high Supercoach points. Like, it was just fun in that aspect. But then the Sunday delivered to end the week. Obviously, Dogs ended up getting up on Giants, which didn't matter to the Giants, but was obviously important to the Dogs. And then that St Kilda versus Carlton game. What a banger. What a absolute banger of a game. And that last goal from Higgins, oh my goodness. I was sitting in my car watching it on my phone and I was screaming. I was screaming like a little girl. Just like when he kicked that, originally you just sort of sit there and think, what are you doing? Like, bruh. And then you see it curling back and you're like, maybe. And then it looks like it's not going to make it and you're like, ah. And then just somehow it just sizzles over the line somehow, and you're just like, I just started screaming. I was just like a little girl. I was like, I don't know. It was as good as a Pies win sort of thing. Like one of those last second goals we get. It was out of nowhere. I mean, I loved it. I mean, when Carlton lose, we all win. That's how I was sort of looking at it. Obviously, no hate there to the Carlton supporters. We obviously have Damon from Supercoach Edge and Janeth from Swordplay. And we appreciate both of those guys. But there's just something so satisfying about watching it. I mean, I think also just because they're playing for the 8 and it's just so important for them, and just watching them choke it up. It was entertaining. And the Freo Port game was entertaining too. I mean, Port ended up running away at the end there, obviously a 20-point win, but like it was close all game until they did that right at the end. So I still felt like Freo were always in it. They definitely had the opportunity. They just didn't kick straight. They fumbled a lot, and it is what it is. But it was at least entertaining footy to end the year, which is always good. And I think the finals will be good. I think it's really close finals here. I mean, I look at the top 4 teams and I actually don't feel as confident in them as I do for like the bottom 4, like that are going into finals. As weird as that sounds, like I look at Brisbane, I look at Brisbane, Hawks and Dogs, all teams that I'm just like, they're dangerous. Like I feel like they can easily make a run. Carlton, I think, just lose first round. Just is how I think it's gonna go. But then, like, yeah, Port, I mean, they're good. Porter good. GWS, I could definitely see losing to one of these bottom 4-3 that I just named. Sydney haven't been in hot form. And I could see them choking this up. And Geelong, it's always so weird with Geelong. I mean, I don't know, sometimes they just don't feel like they're there, and then other times they win games that you just don't expect. So I'm not too sure with them either. I feel like Port and Geelong are maybe the stronger two of the top 4, which might sound weird to say with Sydney, but just their form recently, I don't know, just not rating it. Carlton have way too many injuries in there. Yeah, see one of these 3 teams from the bottom 4, honestly, I see them making a run. I reckon one of them's going to take it. Probably completely wrong there, but like that's just, I think it'd be fun to watch that as well. But yeah, I guess that's how the season ended. I mean, we talked about lessons throughout the year, but the other thing here is my season blowing out. I'm not too surprised with it, and that's sort of what we did. We took a punt. We picked a lot of players that were low percentage owned. Players like Noah Anderson. I mean, LDU was good when he was on, sort of thing. Dunkley was lowly owned as well. We held Reed. We went for the Pod and Wood. Like, we went for Nass, who I think was decently like 25%, but like Holmes also lowly owned as well. We held him all year, but I was happy with Holmes, honestly. I think it's one of those things where, as we talked about earlier in the year wasn't going well, and I had to make a play. Either do what everyone else is doing and maybe get an okay rank, or do something different and see if it blows up for them and see if I can catch them. And look, it didn't blow up for them. In fact, it blew up for me. But like, what would have happened even if I did the stock standard thing? Maybe I get to 10k, maybe I get to 8k, maybe I get an average, not even average rank, but like I get a better rank than what I got. Like it's not really that big of a deal, in my opinion. Like, it's just not that much of a net gain. I took the left of field approach and it didn't work out, and that's okay. Like, it is what it is. And next year I'll be revved to go again. Super excited for it. As everyone does when their season starts blowing up, you start looking at players you're going to pick next year. Even when it's not blowing up, you can't help but look at players and you're like, ooh, they're going to be a juicy price next year. So yeah, players I'm definitely interested in. I'm definitely putting Flanders on that list. He's definitely someone I want. She's also someone that's going to be on that list. Oliver's obviously going to be dirt cheap. Like, there's going to be a lot of good things. Ruckline, I think, is going to be really, really interesting, because there's so many in the mix. There were so many in the mix this year in reality, and there's going to be so many in the mix next year. So I think I think it's going to be hard to not pick him with how explosive his scoring was at the end of the year. Just massive game after massive game, and it's almost impossible to turn away from him. He's a young ruck who's hitting form, and his team's honestly doing a bit better. Like, with Sheasel in there, they're definitely looking better. He has guys to hit to, so I think Cherry's hard to look past as a starting ruck, and then TDK obviously going to be kind of underpriced for what he can do if he's a solo ruck, so someone that's also going to be really hard to look past as well. Obviously, Gorn, as much as he started off amazingly, he did drop off a cliff for the second half of the year. Grundy is what he is, Tim English is what he is, and Nank sort of are around the mark too. So you got like 3 others that are around the mark. I mean, could Briggs bring it back next year, actually get around that mark? Rowan Marshall as well. Like, there's like 8 different rucks that you can just name, and it's like, you could justify picking them, and I wouldn't sit there and be like, that's a bad pick. Even Darcy Cameron, like, had really good points. Like, don't forget, he had a gastro game where he dropped 14. Like, if you take that out of it, I think he would have actually averaged pretty decently as well. I just want to look at what Darcy Cameron did. Let's look at Cameron. So he was very expensive by the end of the year too, jeez, which just shows once again how good his form was onto the back end. So he ended up with 105 average, but you take that 14 out of his game, and he probably bumps up like 3 to 4 on his average. So then he ends up at like a 109 average, which is as good as English, as good as Nank. Like, honestly, Cameron could be in the mix too. Like, yeah, actually I said, like, honestly, like, maybe 9 viable rocks. I mean, Lloyd Meek was also good points at time. Yeah, so many rucks. There's just literally so many rucks. So I think that's going to be the first time we're going to have a super diverse ruck pool, and I'm really keen and excited for that next year. As I think a lot of people are not going to be able to not pick Cherry. I think he's just too tempting. But then I could definitely see a bit more. Like, as I said, I still feel like there's going to be a lot of diversity, so very excited for that. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. I really appreciate all you that did stick around, not only for the end of the video, but for the end of the season. Like, it was a mess. You guys kept tuning in, week out, and I really appreciate those. I really appreciate all those that have liked, subscribed to the channel. And if you haven't, now's a great time too if you want to get involved in that NBL content, because we're going to be smashing it out. I did watch a few of the practice games already, so I did want to kind of do a little bit of a video on that, but I don't think there's too much info to go over that, just in the sense that we've only, Brisbane played most of the practice games, so there's a lot of Brisbane talk, how good they're looking. Yeah, no, I'll talk about that in the NBL video rather than rambling on here. So, anyway, guys, till next time, I hope to catch you next season, well, at least next preseason. But peace, later.